conspiracy continues, even as it collapses. Chemistry can't DNA code, but code clearly indicates a coder. Not one Australopithecine is transitional, so ape evolution is over. But not scientism's superstition, concreted from kinder to college. Science ciphers cell law, but has never created a single cell. But natural laws mandate a lawgiver. A creature is part of a creation, and a creation bespeaks a creator. Anyone can analyze a cake's ingredients, but only the maker can tell why. CRISPR only cuts, it can't create. Segregation supplanted slavery. Integration, segregation. Now integration gives way to disintegration. As binaries boast non-binary BS. Darwinism died when microscopes made out mini-cell machines, and fossils record predators in mid-bite. Draggies don't bear children, they consume them. All is still born of woman, seeded by man. Trannies are castrate, incels eunuchs. Nothing plus nothing still equals nothing. But nothing plus God equals everything. I'm a retired SOCOM soldier, former DA special agent, and ex-DIA intelligence officer, turned whistleblower warrior, targeted by the deep state, served in sabotage, rejected and redeemed, failed and forgiven, rejecting revenge, humbled and blessed, repurposed in redemption, as chaplain, leader, teacher, and truth teller. Now America's intelligence officer, following God, leading my family, and any that choose to join on our long walk to faith and freedom. Welcome. I'm Jeff Prather, and this is the Prather Point. Okay, see, and give me some of that on Rumble Rant. I don't see anybody on X yet. Lots going on today. Breaking Epstein assassin on video with a question mark. And also October 7th plus Epstein plus Iran plus Gaza equals Israeli evil. And Trump truth is covering, not cleaning up. Green Beret Gaza whistleblower or revenge seeker. We'll get into that as well. Chemo causes cancer. Ivermectin interdicts it. And we'll have a guest, ex-United States Marine and Galileo CEO Brett Miller on Crisis Comms will be with us in a little bit. But remember, phone123.com, phone123.com for the Connecta phone, $35 a month, secure comms. Also sat123.com, sat123.com for satcoms as well. And GALILEYO.com, which is Brett is the new CEO of that. So something I haven't done in quite a while is to read from subscribers, and I wanted to do that a little bit. So here is a email I got. You can always email me at jp@jeffreyprather.com, jp@jeffrey, not ERY, PRATH@r.com. Hello, Mr. Prather. I'm emailing response question to your cast from yesterday because I do not see a place to comment on locals. And so I'm so sad because I post on locals all the time. I leave enable comments all the time, and I don't get comments on locals. I get comments on Patreon all the time. There's regulars that comment. And of course, my Point Patriot students are on there commenting on my handgun martial arts and on my martial arts because that's how I teach them, one way I teach them. But it's great to hear from somebody from locals, James. And he says, AI is programmed by people. People program AI with the info they want. Therefore, all AI is based on the info chosen by its programmers. You say parrot. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. The ChatGPT interaction you posted and then read on your cast was quite interesting. I was surprised to hear AI spitting out information that so parallels biblical teachings of Yeshua and pop culture alien concepts. I was even more surprised to hear you agree with so much of it, not all of it. Okay, we didn't specify what, but I agree with Yeshua wholeheartedly and Scripture, and I don't agree with everything else said. Question: where did that info come from? Programmers, and I answered this by email as well, and so that the information comes from the keywords and data parameters that were programmed in by the programmers, not from the programmers themselves. Why? And then the next question is, why would the programmers input that info into their AI? Well, they're inputting their parameters, which are given to them by their masters, and also by the way they perceive things as well. So it's very hard to not bring in your own prejudices, because you have to frame your comments in some way. And then what is the purpose? What is the goal? Motive? The goal is control, and the motive is power. And the chat GPT said that. So I know you're super busy, no urgency here, but love to hear your thoughts on the next cast, perhaps on your next cast. So there you go, James Douglas, a free American. Good for you, free soul. I guess you're a state national there, and glad to hear from you. I'd love to hear from more folks on locals. Hardly used to hear from them. Don't hear from them anymore, though I've got subscribers. Here's another one. Good morning, Mr. Prather. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Happy to hear. I believe you said you moved there recently. Listen to all of your podcasts since COVID that you've done. Wow, that goes way back. You've taught me so much, woken me up in so many ways. Today, I listened to the chat GPT conversation. I've been a believer for many years. I'm completely with you on everything you say about spiritual warfare and demonic deceptions. Well, good. So join me this Sunday. I will be leading the Christ Connection Chaplaincy service at christchaplaincy.com, christchaplaincy.com, or also on Meta, Facebook Live, or also on GoToMeeting, where you can talk with us. On GoToMeeting, which is at the christchaplaincy.com website, you can download the GoTo app and talk with us, or you can get on Facebook Meta and chat with us, or you can get on the Christ Connection chaplaincy, christchaplaincy.com live feed there and chat with us as well. So it's a two-way conversation, as it was supposed to be, between Didascalos and Matetes, master and disciple, just as Yeshua taught the apostles. And I'll be doing that again, 11 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Arizona time. But anyway, you've taught me so much about military behind the scenes, and for that I'm grateful. I'm an American patriot, disappointed in what the reality of our country has come. I'm right there with you. When do you have your live programs? my live programs are 1 p.m. Central Time every Tuesday and Thursday since for years. It used to be 1 p.m. Arizona time. Now it's 1 p.m. Central Time, because I didn't want to conflict with Rush Limbaugh. I wanted to come on after him. So that's when my live programs are, every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 p.m. Central Time, live. And they are on X. They are live on X, live on Rumble, and live on Meta Facebook, where you can talk with me and join the conversation, which I really want to have. And now I see the conversation coming up. Is on Rumble and on X, primarily on Rumble. So please subscribe to me on Rumble. Everybody, please subscribe on Rumble. So I hear you often read comments when people are asking live questions. Have not quite figured that out. I'm quite a bit challenged when it comes to technology. Hey, I'm right there with you, Julie. Blessings to you and your family. Thank you very much. But I hope that answers that question. So, again, as your intelligence officer, I'm still serving my country. Your support keeps me independent of corrupt big tech media. I will never sell out to them. My podcasts are 1 p.m., 1300 Central Time, Tuesdays and Thursdays on Rumble, X, and Meta. Subscribe to them on Rumble. All my exclusive content that supports my outside the box analysis is at patreon.com or at locals.com. I've got the localsup.com, jeffreyprather.locals.com, $9 a month, $9 a year. Or there's the patreon.com, $5, $15, or $25. The 5 curated news stories, 15 deep dives, $25 daily custom made videos so you can train with me. Free members, there's free members on both Patreon and Locals. I don't publish anything free. The shows are free. My services are free. So I eventually remove free members. You're supposed to take a look at it and then sign up. And actually, Locals and Patreon both do that. But you can also join Team America to win back America. We must pray up, neighbor up, team up, and train up. To team up, join Team America at jeffreyprather.com/join Team America. The most committed of a transcendent value system, always the most committed value system is God, family, band, clan, tribe, and nation. To join my free chaplaincy, go to christchaplaincy.com. To train and study up via my online training videos, jeffreyprather.com shop. I have lots of martial arts videos that I used to sell on Budo Videos, the largest site in the world. I couldn't keep up with the amount. And I also used to sell my close quarter combatives in Army Air Force exchange stores worldwide, AFES stores worldwide. So anyway, that answers that question. I see lots of discussion coming up. City of St. Paul has a serious cyber attack. Who taught the AI that power and control were a priority? An NYPD psychopath. The problem is the programmers. Yeah. Well, the AI has downloaded lots of psychology and psychiatry and articles on human nature. And human nature hasn't changed. Our fallen human nature hasn't changed since Cain killed Abel, since we left the garden. Civilization has advanced. There are still crucifixions, but they're not lining the streets of Rome anymore. They're mostly in secret. They're still raping virgins, but they're doing it in secret. They're not doing it in the Colosseum like before. So that's important. And I also wanted to do a correction and show you kind of what you get if you do sign up on Patreon on Locals at the $5 or $9 level. I just published an alkaline water cancer and non-MD young. I said, since I had him guest several times, I thought I should post this and asking pardon, JP. And this is from an article that you can click on my Locals or on my Patreon. Very common question we get as certified oncology dietitians is, should I drink alkaline water to starve my cancer cells? You know what? I've actually done this with baking soda to regulate my pH, and then you test it on your urine, but you're not really testing your blood pH, you're testing your urine pH. So it's not quite that accurate. But again, this is alternative medicines that we have to embrace now, because Western medicine is weaponized totally. So they say, should I drink alkaline water to starve my cancer cells? The short answer is no. In fact, did you know that Robert O. Young, the man who pioneered the alkaline diet, is serving time in prison for practicing medicine without a license? That is true. And I have had him on the show several times, and he has been convicted several times of not being a medical doctor. Robert O. Young went from a bachelor's degrees to doctorate in as little as 8 months from a non-accredited institution. That's too quick, I can tell you. You know, I've got 2 bachelors and a master's and a couple of honorary PhDs. Takes a lot longer than that. In 2011, the Medical Board of California began an investigation on Young, where it discovered that none of the 15 cancer patients Young treated with alkalinity treatments outlived their prognosis. In 2017, he was sentenced to 3 years and 8 months in prison, in addition to publicly admitting that he is not a microbiologist, hematologist, medical, or naturopathic doctor or trained scientist. He's not even a naturopath there. So then a couple of people commented on that. Pfeffernut, despite plenty of his flaws, and I've been listening to his discussions on human biology since C19, up to his most recent arrests. Some were doubtful. A lot of it made sense. I believe he may have been onto something. Yeah, me too. Also, this is California. They try to silence anything that isn't mainstream. Yeah, me too. Same thing with Dr. Malasia. Not all of her stuff is good, but some of her stuff is good. But something doesn't feel right when a cancer patient was to be paid $105 million from Dr. Young, the same patient that in several of his podcasts and articles was claimed to be in remission, also claimed that the patient was bribed that amount to libel him. And when cancer recently returned with a vengeance, the patient died, adding a charge of patient abuse and negligent manslaughter. And then there's the reference by Pfeffernut, who is a Patreon subscriber to the LATimes.com article. And says, no pardon needed, JP. I'm skeptical of these stories and allegations against him. There's a saying that the more you watch a man speak, the more you'll know him by his fruits. Just throwing it out there. So that was a great comment. That gives you an example of the depth of the followers I have on the patrons I have on Patreon. And Zoltan Nueza, who's always commenting, yeah, I remember he was on your show, made wild claims about food, like eggs are not good for your health, thinks vegetarian diet's the only way to go because it's the garden diet, kind of forgets we're thrown out of the garden. Made a claim that the Bible tells you not to eat meat, clearly says don't eat the blood. But he just was always arrogant in his tone. He was arrogant in his tone. My gut feeling about him, so I'm not surprised, turned out to be a fraud. No need to ask for a pardon, Major. We know that you're a man big enough to own up to his mistakes, and we all do so on a daily basis. And what I'm trying to do there is practice the Christic protocols, is, of course, self-reflect, become still, and then repent, and then confess and ask for forgiveness. So that's in summation there. What I'm saying is asking pardon. So getting to the title, Breaking Epstein Assassin on Video. So there's been a mystery orange shape spotted near Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell the night before his death. An orange shape was spotted on surveillance footage near Jeffrey Epstein's prison cell on the final night of his life, and forensic experts are questioning the federal government's explanation of the mysterious object. The shadowy object seen in video, obtained and reviewed by CBS News. And again, you can go to patreon.com. I've published it, or locals, jeffreyprather.locals.com. And look at the article, because I'm actually reading off of the article that I've published. The shadowy object seen in the video, obtained by CBS News, moved up the stairs to Epstein's cell block at the Metropolitan Correctional Center around 10:40 p.m. the night before the 66-year-old convicted sex trafficker was found hanged. Federal investigators previously concluded that the pixelated blob was a corrections officer carrying linen or inmate clothing, which is crap, of course, because the charges were dropped against the corrections officers. They were dismissed. And of course, the video was lost. And then there's the problems with the video. This is typical FBI cover-up of wet work, covert operations. But forensics experts who spoke to the network as part of an investigation into the jail video now suspect it may have been a jumpsuit-clad inmate. Well, it was somebody in something orange. They say, based on the limited video, it's more likely a person in an orange uniform. Yes, that's true. So as I have explained many times, covert operations, like all tactical operations, require advanced reconnaissance. This is that. Either a released prisoner, or more likely the assassin posing as a prisoner in an orange jumpsuit that he got. In either scenario, it proves, to me at least, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the Bureau of Prisons, the DOJ, and the FBI were in on it. Now, with covert operations, there's the recon of it. There's also the cleanup. I've talked about that many times. I've demonstrated how that happened in Antifa, that when they shoot somebody, they'd frack around and find out. They'd pick up the brass. They'd block off anybody coming in. They'd say they were reporters or medics. If you saw the movie Munich, after the Sayeret, the Sword of Gideon team assassinates the Munich guy in the elevator, the cleanup guy comes in and picks up the brass out of the bloody pools there. So they scrubbed a lot of this, but the tapes are gone and everything, but they didn't go back far enough. This is the cleanup crew because of their corruption, being incompetent. And so this is the cover-up continuing to collapse. And what's happening is October 7th, Epstein, Iran, and Gaza all equals Israeli evil, Mossad evil, Netanyahu evil, American Christian Zionist evil. And so the Trump truth is really covering up, not cleaning up, is really what is going on here. And as far as that goes, I want to get into October 7th, because there's more come out about that. But let me first bring on my guest, because he is, like me, a veteran. And Brett Miller is a former United States Marine, and he is now the CEO of Galileo. He works with the SAT store, sat123.com, as I was talking earlier, and phone123.com, connect a phone, and Galileo, which is SAT text. And so, Brett, welcome. Glad to have you back.
Hey, it's good to see you, Jeffrey. How are you doing?
Good. So,
Good.
just wanted to get into October 7th.
Yeah.
There's an unacknowledged false flag Substack that indicates that the terrorist attacks were actually false flags orchestrated by elements within the governments. Of course, I'm the one who broke this story. They're now calling it a LEHOP, which is a let it happen on purpose, or a MEHOP, or make it happen on purpose. And to refresh the audience who don't know, on October 7th, 2023, the Izz-ad-Din al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas, led an attack into southern Israel from the Gaza Strip, which was then home to some 2.2 million Palestinians. The Israeli government response to the Hamas attack is quite obviously the genocide of the Palestinian people. And we're going to get into that too. And I want to ask you about that too, because that's there's a Green Beret colonel who is very controversial, who was talking about that. But in January 2025, and of course, I called this out on my American Media Periscope show, that this was a setup. This was they let this happen. And General Flynn came on my AMP show and confirmed that. But in January 2025, the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, passed a law making an offense punishable by up to 5 years in prison for denying the October 7th massacre with the intention of defending, sympathizing with, or identifying with the Hamas terrorist organization and its partners. So this, I'm not denying that it happened. And this article I'm referring to isn't denying it.
Sure.
What they're saying that that they were in on it. So your comments and thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I recall not too long ago, Benjamin Netanyahu himself was having a discussion where he admitted that there was a stand down. Now he blamed the IDF generals, and then the IDF generals in turn blamed him, for the stand down or the 8-hour delay in response of one of the most technical, highly advanced, and well-funded militaries in the world, second to ours, because we do that funding. The why, the who, that escapes me. I mean, other than what we've seen since then, and kind of like ideas similar to like the Great Israel Project, that patch that they all wear that just shows parts of other countries that are currently occupied by other nations being theirs. Which one of them is Gaza, but also biblically, Jeffrey, I've been really attuned to the Bible lately. I read it every morning while I stretch.
Me too.
At least. Oh, that's all. Yeah. I mean, every answer I could ever possibly ask in the world is in there. And, also it's so clear that what's happening in my reading of this Bible, in the Bible every day, I'm realizing that it's all playing out. It's all in there. It Gaza reduced to rubble, Syria reduced to a sea of glass, all nations turning on Israel and attacking them all at once, and then you go into like Euphrates is dry and armies of the north, Russia teaming up with kings of the east, China. So, I mean, there's a lot of prophecies in there that are coming true, and they all revolve around this region, which has been in conflict for many years. So, it's hard for me to say, why or who the stand down or who was responsible for it. There clearly was an admitted one, by, like I said, both the generals of the IDF and Netanyahu. But, I think just the most unfortunate part is what's happening to all the children and the women and the non-Hamas individuals, because they are also suffering right now as well. So. But yeah, I mean, there clearly was a standout. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with your assessment. I know you called it, when it was happening. I mean, it's been clear. It's not even a conspiracy. It's, it's factual.
Yeah. Well, I had acknowledged there are about 1,195 Hamas attack fatalities, around 800 of whom were civilians, including infants and children. That's despicable. But Israel has also admitted that it was running the Sword of Damocles operation on October 7th, which is the Hannibal procedure, which directs Israeli defense forces to kill their own comrades instead of allowing them to be taken hostage. It was supposedly abandoned in 2008, but Colonel Naf Erez, a senior IDF reserve helicopter pilot, told Haaretz that the carnage he had seen appeared to be a mass Hannibal. that the Yeduath Harothnath News reported that IDF admitted that casualties fell as a result of friendly fire in the kibbutzim and southern Israeli communities, but added that it would not, this is unbelievable, it would not be morally sound to investigate these incidents due to the immense and complex quantity of them. That is, we killed so many of our own civilians that we can't even investigate it. I mean, as a fellow veteran, aren't you flabbergasted as I am by that statement?
Yeah, I mean, I'm speechless. I mean, that's like the most insane thing I've ever heard. I mean, just we've killed so many of our own that we can't look into it. I mean, I feel like that's some kind of crazy, pull it out of the air excuse. I mean, I guess that's my biggest question is that, we are subjected as a nation to funding all of these operations, whether we personally believe in them or not. And clearly you can go to the streets and see that there are multiple opinions and multiple sides on every one of these issues, but our hand is being forced. When someone says something like that, I mean, if that were to happen in the US military where, one person got shot, one case of friendly fire, I mean, think of Pat Tillman and, the big extreme cases of friendly fire that we have gone through as a nation where we still try to get the bottom of it and, over one person. And then to have a general say that, well, we just killed too many of our own people, so we're not going to bother looking into it. I mean, that's a level of insanity or psychosis that I just can't wrap my brain around. But again, I just feel bad for all of us as the nation who are, we're watching our streets fall apart. We're watching our schools collapse. We're $37 trillion in debt. We're watching $100,000 added to the budget every single second. So, where do we have any money, time, or resources to be following through with an agenda that's thousands of years long that does not benefit the United States in the short term? And that's just my general question for all of our leaders who are so strong in war, because as we've seen, we've been in war. You're a veteran, I'm a veteran. My buddy here I'm working with, he's a veteran. We've seen the effects of war, and there has not been a positive one. We did not bring democracy to the Middle East. We did not bring peace and love. No, we didn't even make any friends, really. If you look at what the leftovers, well, what's happened since then in the areas that we occupied and then have since left. So I think, the long lesson that we are all pretty familiar with is that war is not the answer. So we're just going to sit here and watch it play out in front of us, and no one's going to do anything about it, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it's clear the motive here is to enact the Greater Israel, which you mentioned as well. You mentioned Pat Tillman, by the way. Pat Tillman was an Arizona football player who turned down a multi-million-dollar professional contract to join the Army after 9/11, go into the Rangers, which is part of SOCOM. I used to jump with the Ranger Regiment all the time and was killed by friendly fire, and then they covered up. I mean, friendly fire does happen. Friendly fire isn't, but it does happen. But they, instead of admitting it, they tried to cover it up because he was so famous. Which is really, heartbreaking, I think, especially for us veterans. But that also brings up the IDF Unit 414, which was the female surveillance spotters in the Nahal Oz Situation Room, who had been warning the Israeli government and their chain of command for a year about this, and they were the first ones killed. They were the first ones taken hostage, and because they would have gotten the word out. And again, that just I don't believe in coincidences. That just looks like a setup there as well. But it appears, as far as I know, most American Christian Zionists are still buying this Netanyahu Israeli Mossad IDF heresy. Which go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to. You're saying so many articulate and accurate things. I mean, it's hard for me to wrap my brain around. I mean, just as a country, right? Like as a countryman, you want your country to do better. You want your country to thrive. We want to build a nation. I come from a long list of veterans. My family's been here for a long time. But we always want for the next generation. Like, that's just the common good. That's like what's morally instilled in all of us, I think, as men and certainly as women. You know, you want your offspring to survive. You want to provide a better life for them moving forward. But what we're seeing is this kind of shift where not only does the government not really have any Americans' interest in mind, and we can clearly just see that from their policies and the things that have happened over the last 4 to 10 years, but now citizens themselves are wrapping themselves in this. They're aligning themselves with a side of a conflict that is not happening in their nation and is not supporting their nation at all, but yet they bring their personal beliefs and they're bringing this like passion to it, and it's creating instability here at home. So I can understand and appreciate everyone's personal opinions on what's going on, but we are now as a nation being dictated on where we're going to fight, where we're going to spend money, and now like what we're even allowed to say coming from a foreign nation, whatever nation that is. I mean, if any nation tried to place their flag on top of our flag and put it in Congress, let's say Germany did that. I mean, you'd have people, you know, rushing to the White House, right, to rip those flags down. And then
I saw that. I saw a retired Marine where they put I think it was California, they put the Mexican flag above the American flag, and he went up and ripped it down right in front of
any flag, right? I
Yeah.
mean, people are talking about, oh, they're waving Mexican flags in California, so they're invaders. They're not protesters, right? They're invaders.
Yeah.
That's what the rhetoric is for that. But then somehow there's a flag that's allowed to be flown everywhere that is not a foreign nation flag, that somehow is like just a part of our flag. And I don't have any ill will towards any other nation. I just don't care. I need America to survive because we're in a bad way.
Well, you're following General then President Washington's guidance, right? Is no foreign entanglements.
Yeah, I mean, let's just focus on our children, on our streets, on our communities. Let's focus on I mean, look, we had mass migration. Whatever your opinion is on it, we're not going to get 20 million people out of our country that we brought in. So we need to figure out how to assimilate some of these people. Right.
We need to co-opt them. We do need to deport and lock up and
I agree.
The predators, but we need to co-opt the rest. Yes,
exactly. And we need the people that have come to America to love America. We need Americans to love America and to realize that, you know, if America falls, you don't have a house, you don't have a job, you don't have running water. I mean, this is the greatest nation ever, I feel like, ever existed on earth. We live like kings compared to what 90% of the rest of the world, probably more. We have, you know, we have everything that we could ever want for. And if you don't have something you want for, you have the opportunity to go and earn it, get it, create it, invent it, whatever. I mean, this is a great place. And I want to preserve America while providing help to people that need it, but not to agitate or push for wars that don't benefit us in any way, shape, or form. And that's just my personal opinion.
Well, if you look at October 7th, if you look at Epstein, who was clearly with Mossad,
Right.
Iran, us bombing Iran, Gaza, which is out of control, it all comes back to Israel. And Israel, as Netanyahu says, controls America. It's easily controlled. But there is another break-in story, which, you know, I found real close to home, because there is this former Green Beret colonel who says he witnessed war crimes by Israel and U.S. contractors at Gaza aid sites. So the first thing non-combat veterans need to understand is everybody commits war crimes, including the United States.
War is a crime.
War is a crime. War is a racket. Marine Corps General, Medal of Honor recipient, Smedley Butler. Wounded Knee, where they murdered Indian women and children. They got medals of honor for them, and they have still not been rescinded. So, but that said, before I get into this, I'm going to preface that recent emails reveal that this colonel, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar, so he's probably 7th group, probably my old group, former U.S. Green Beret and Special Forces veteran, his emails show that he was fired from the Gaza relief forces, that he asked for his job back, that he then begged for his job back, that he then threatened his job back. And if you remember, everybody, I went back 15 years ago when they were accusing me because I was whistleblowing on Fast and Furious, and they took 2 of my female employees at Warrior School and tried to say that I raped them. I had emails for like a year after that where they were working with me, where I could like, here, they're talking to me, and of course it wasn't until DEA targeted me that all of a sudden they came forward and to DEA. So, it's the behavior. All of a sudden the behavior changes when we want to get you. So that looks like the same thing here. But what he says is, without question, I witnessed war crimes. And he says that the Gaza relief forces were working for the IDF, and he's a 25-year veteran, same as me, combat tested officer, respected special forces leader. Of course, we've seen problems with a lot of SEALs and special forces of recent. So he was working for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a joint U.S.-Israeli project that I was worried about from the beginning. And because in my entire career, I've never seen such brutality as this. I've never witnessed this level of brutality, of indiscriminate, unnecessary force against the civilian population, an unarmed, starving population. I've never witnessed that in all the places I've been deployed to until I was in Gaza with the IDF and U.S. contractors. He says tank rounds fired directly into vehicles with civilians, mortar rounds launched into crowded food lines, main artillery fire into unarmed, desperate people, which now that I've heard from other sources as well, and hundreds of starving Palestinians gunned down trying to collect aid, using artillery rounds, mortar rounds, tank rounds into unarmed civilians as a war crime. And Palestinians have been shot while waiting in food lines. I've heard that too. Women and children crushed or trampled by fleeing gunfire. That's not necessarily the IDF or U.S. contractors, but they are the instigators of that. IDF and U.S. contractors shooting into aid lines, using tanks and mortars against civilians who are starving, unarmed, promised food. So I think some of that is happening, but it looks like his motivations are tainted. Have you followed that at all, or are you up on that at all?
I'm not specific about that gentleman you're talking about. I have heard, and you can go on just Twitter or X, whatever it's called, and starving children in Gaza is an easy find. If you want to find a video that'll make you cry in the middle of the afternoon. I mean, you turn on the normal television. I want to remove the concept from people's minds that it's just like this, like a group of people, because, you turn on the TV and there's, African kids starving. You can send $1 a day. There's pets starving, and Sarah McLachlan will sing you a song about it, and you can donate $2 a day there. There's, crimes here, travesties, adopt a kid over here. I mean, everywhere. Like we collect and earn and save and generate, money for charities for all kinds of people in all kinds of distressful situations and people in need. And somehow, I mean, because of the label, it's Palestinian or it's Gaza, or because it's, Israel or whatever, these labels have muted people's compassion. And that's what I'm seeing, is just like a retarding of people's compassion, of people's empathy, people's sympathy, or just their general willingness to understand that, like, there are children that are dying. These are children. These are children and women, black, white, brown, yellow, blue, green, believe in elephants or Jesus, whatever you believe. I mean, these are children, all God's children, right? And the Bible will tell you to love thy neighbor, especially thy enemies, right? But I mean, generally, I don't know how anybody anywhere in the world can watch a child starve, or, people getting shot at while they're waiting for food, and think that that's okay in any way, shape, or form.
I remember the World War II GIs giving, chocolate bars to the Italian kids. You can see that in Band Brothers. You can see that in Audie Murphy's To Hell and Back. I did it. I gave candy and also dewormed, hundreds, maybe thousands of kids in Central America. And that was kind of what I felt like an American soldier was doing, giving chocolate to the kids and waiting to shoot a terrorist in the eye, which I never got to do. It's on my bucket list.
Right? It's all hearts and minds, Jeffrey. That's what we're doing, right?
Yeah. Well, I was in psyops, but Pam off a
Oh,
regular listener is, how can we keep definite boundaries between Israel as a nation, Jews as an ethnic group, and followers of Judaism, either Talmud or Torah? Okay, let me answer that. And again, this Sunday, I'll at christchaplains.com, 11 a.m. Central Time, I'm leading the Sunday service, as we've been doing since 2009, every Sunday, because I'm the chief chaplain and founder of Christ Connection Chaplaincy at christchaplaincy.com. You can follow us live on Facebook, Meta, on our website, christchaplaincy.com, and you can talk to us on GoToMeeting, and all those links are there at christchaplaincy.com if you want them. But anyway, Pam off, the difference between Israel as a nation has only existed since World War II. The Jewish people as a religious community have existed for eons, and they are the ones who are following. Well, some of them are following Torah, which is Mosaic law, and the Tanakh, the 5 books of Moses. But then they're also following Talmud, which is simply rabbinic commentary, which Yeshua condemns and says, listen to them when they're in the seat in Matthew 24. Listen to them when they're in the seat of Moses in the synagogue, because they can only read from the Torah, that is to you, the Old Testament. But the rest of the time, don't listen to them, because they say and do not do, because Yeshua came to fulfill Torah. So there's a difference between Mosaic Torah and Zionism is looking at the Israeli nation as some kind of special people. They are not. Yeshua at the temple in front to the priests, to the Pharisees and Sanhedrin, says, you've rejected the vineyard owner. You are no longer the vineyard keepers. You are no longer, he says it really clearly. So all you American Christian Zionists out there who are still supporting Israel, which is not the chosen people anymore anyway, you're not even following Yeshua. You're not following Scripture, but you've been sold this by so many followers. I don't know. You're a good Marine scriptural guy. Tell me what you think about that.
Yeah. I mean, you accurately described it there. The difference between the Torah, Old Testament, Talmud. The Talmud is interesting to me that they adapted it as law, because it is, as you stated, it's more of a series of conversations. Now, I don't speak Hebrew or read it, and I've only had little bits of it translated here and there, so I can't really speak to it. But I do understand that it is just it's kind of conversational, where there are multiple opinions on multiple topics in there. And then, when you compare that to the biblical writings and the teachings of Jesus, and even God, like when God was talking to the Jews back in the Old Testament, he commanded them. He didn't recommend to them. He didn't suggest to them. He didn't it's boom, this is what you're doing. I command you to do this. So for them to take those commandments and kind of just dismiss them a little bit, and thou shalt not kill. Well, maybe not. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's see. I mean, it does seem like it's getting further and further away from the doctrine that was the original doctrine of the nation of Israel, which is Israel. The definition is God's children, right? Like
Israel means struggle with God.
Struggle with God. Sorry. God, struggle with God. Yeah, that's right. Struggle with God. So that makes sense in the Old Testament, right? Because the Old Testament, and especially if you read like the Apocrypha, which has been removed, but it's like the lost books in the Egyptian Bible. It's not the Egyptian Bible. It's in Ethiopia right now. The one that they have in Ethiopia, the lost books of the Apocrypha.
Yeah.
It's all lessons about making mistakes and then God punishing them and correcting it, and then going back and then learning lessons and then being revisited, or being visited again. And then it does seem to me, like I said, in the very beginning, God told Adam what to do. So he spoke it to you. Adam went out, made a mistake with Eve. Adam made the mistake. Eve got deceived. Adam denied God. So it was Adam's fault. So, but then he told him, Adam made the mistake. And then, we get punished. Then he wrote it down. God wrote it down because he knew that just telling it like a child, you can't just tell a kid, you got to write it down. So then he wrote it down for him, gave it to Moses. Here are the rules. I wrote them down for you. And then still people didn't listen, right? We still fell away from
10
God.
10 was too much. 613, 230. What is it?
Six.
That's why Yeshua downsizes it to 2. But D.R. Putnam, you're right. The Talmud is worse than that. That is true. The Talmud says there are 18 genders and that you can penetrate a little baby girl because she'll heal up. And that is evil. And that's exactly what Yeshua called the Pharisees and the Sanhedrin, whitewashed tombs. But you're right, D.R. Putnam. The Talmud is much worse than that. But most Jews, including Israel, don't study Torah. They study Talmud because the rabbis tell them that the Torah is too difficult for them to understand. But there's another
the
question.
Opposite.
Another question. It's the exact. Yeah, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Another question here about. Would you please talk about the financial crimes against Americans that are going on under the Trump administration? And I'm not sure. Let me see.
Well, I can speak to that for a little bit.
Please talk about the Trump change checks, $2,400 per household, about the financial charts or financial crimes against American work. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a big problem with anyone in politics taking personal money, for a campaign or whatever, and then their promise is to distribute taxpayer dollars to said investor or said donor after they get into their office. That is one of the biggest things, and that's exactly what happens with all of these groups. They get, every congressman, everyone on the list is taking money from every lobbyist. They give personal gifts and personal money to personal individuals, and then those individuals make a group decision about our money. So they take it home with them, and then they decide to give away our money after they've personally benefited from it. I think second to that, I want people to know, because I found this out recently. I'm doing my own book. I'm going to release it soon. I can't wait to tell you about it. You'll love it. But I was doing some research. And so, our average congressman, unless they're a House member, they make $174,000 a year, right? 174. Did you know that every office has an allotted additional $1.5 million to be used at their discretion for whatever they want? And a lot of that money is just taken as cash. So it's not $174,000 that you're paying. You're paying $1.7 million a year per congressperson, per senator, per House member. $1.7 million per year is their individual office budget that they can decide to spend however they like. So we are in just a giant money laundering scheme. And I don't know if you saw the Pelosi thing, the Pelosi Act that got voted on this morning. You have people like, they were voting on if Congress can, that's the bill, if Congress can do insider trading or not. They have to make a bill to stop them from insider trading. And one of the most vocal people was Rick Scott, who's worth $550 million. He was the CEO of the company while in Florida that has the largest fraud against Medicare and Medicaid ever in the history of the United States. 1.7 billion. He perpetrated that fraud against the United States people. The next year he gets into office, and as the governor of Florida, he's charged again with mishandling funds, taking money, misuse of funds, and now he's a sitting congressman or a sitting senator worth $550 million. And he's telling us that he's because he's a businessman that he should be allowed to do insider trading, and that this bill is a ridiculous bill and no one should vote on it. This is the mentality of you're dealing with thieves and criminals that are deciding how much money they should steal from you and how many crimes they can commit against you as the people. And that's just the bottom line. That's where we're at. We're 535 criminals versus 340 million Americans who are getting a gun to their head saying, if you don't pay me my criminal stealings from you, I will kill you and your family in your house, because that's what the IRS will do. And that's the state we're at. I mean, that's as honest as it gets.
That's true. And D.R. Putnam asked, doesn't some of that go to hire staff? I don't know if that $1 million budget is for staff, is it?
Oh, I'm sure it goes to staffers or two, but I mean, do you? So let me just.
How many staff? But how many staff do
I
you
mean,
need?
okay, do you get that benefits package at your job? Do you get $100 grand
No,
a year or 50
no,
grand a year, and then you get an
and
additional
Congress
$1.5 million from your job and benefits package? I
and
mean,
Congress excludes themselves from all the life laws they pass as well.
every
But
single one, they vote on their own raise. They have 140 days off a year, so they're off more than teachers, right? I mean, everybody makes fun of teachers for getting off in the summer. These guys have 140 days off. They work half of the year, and they make 1.5 million. And if it does go to staffers, great. But how much are you paying a staffer? Are they paying their staff 100 grand a year, or are they paying them probably 70 or 80? And
or
then,
even if they were paying them 100 grand a year, that's
that's a staff.
yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's just, it's all so disappointing, Jeff. Honestly,
Well,
like
DR Pubman says they have to have 3 offices and 3 people each, and a mill to sell. Yeah, you're asking about the Brooklyn, New York, Chabad, the tunnel with lead for the and the beds. No, that has not been debunked. That was real. That's Talmudism at its worst.
that was
yeah.
Yeah, whatever happened with that? That was funny. That just disappeared. That was an interesting, odd week for America. There's just so many weird little things that are going on that I would just love some transparency on, or clarity, or just some understanding. But maybe it's not mine.
They don't want 9/11. They learned something from their mistakes at 9/11 when they dropped the Twin Towers. That was a rally point. You know what a rally point is. Everybody rallies.
Yep.
They took they even had the Twin Towers on the Eagle on the TSA patch. And what happened? They took that off because they don't want us to have any more rallying points. Everything just kind of fades into nothing at all. But even worse, Trump's Washington has breathed new life into the military-industrial complex that, of course, President and General Supreme Allied Commander Eisenhower warned us about when, in 61, when he was leaving. There's a new study out by the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft and Cost of War Project. And it says in 5 years from 2020 to 2024, 54% of the Pentagon's $4.4 trillion in discretionary spending. And by the way, they've never passed an audit, never. Of course, the plane or missile or whatever it is that hit the Senate side of the Pentagon was where Rumsfeld's accounting was happening.
Building 7. That was
discretionary funding.
Before, right? Remember, said we can't find $2 trillion the next day, 9/11. I mean, September 11th. That was September 10th. He made that announcement. So.
Yep. And again, the analogy there is once Yeshua turns over the moneylenders tables, that was it.
Yep.
791 billion went to 5 companies: Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman, and now the high-tech militarists are like Peter Thiel of Palantir, Elon Musk of SpaceX, and Paul Merlucci of Underhill have promised new, more affordable, more nimble weapons. As set out in Odgerell's Rebooting the Arsenal of Democracy, an ode to the supposed value of those emerging tech firms. But curiously, the Odgerell XA is actually a remarkable apt critique of the 5 big contractors in Congress and the Pentagon, pointing out that their unswerving penchant for cost overruns, delays in scheduling, and pork barrel politics to preserve weapon systems that all too often no longer serve any useful purpose, i.e. F-35, 30 years of that thing. That document goes on to say that while Lockheed Martin of the world serve a useful function in the ancient days of the Cold War, today they are incapable of building the next generation of weaponry because of their archaic business models and their inability to master the software at the heart of the coming new generation of drones driven by AI. And that's exactly what I was talking about the other day is the Army's failed grenade dropping drone, where now we're going to buy from Ukraine their advanced drone technology, which was supplied by DARPA and CIA in the first place. And so
2014, my Ranger buddies were teaching Switchblade drones to Ukrainians. 2014. So, you know, I mean, we've been there a long time. We've been doing a lot of things there for a long time. And can I just say, like, real quick, you mentioned all these oligarchy billionaires. Like, none of them made their money, like, legitimately. Like, and look, I like Starlink. Okay, I like Tesla. I had a dog named Tesla. I think there's some really technologies, but let's just be honest. And I just want to be honest, and I'm not trying to point the finger, but Tesla Core takes about $8 billion a year in taxpayer money, right? They get subsidies. SpaceX, 100% funded by taxpayer subsidies. The Boring Company was founded by private investment, but does government contracts now. And what's the other one? Starlink. Starlink takes government subsidies as well. So when you talk about these, like, the richest men in the world, firstly, they're not, right? We all know that, like, the sultans and the sheiks and these, you know, secret guys and the, you know, the Rothschilds and Jacobs and these guys, those are the richest guys in the world. But when you talk about, like, the richest populists in the world, you have to also appreciate that you pay that. The richest man in the world is drawing his salary from an $8 billion a year Tesla taxpayer subsidy. So we kind of they're not really the richest men in the world. Like, Palantir was funded by US, funded by DARPA. Like, all these companies take all this money. And we kind of learned that through the US aid debacle that Elon was going through with Doge, that, like, all these news companies are being propped up, NPR, right? Like, CNN takes money, all of Politico, all these are I don't want to misspeak because I don't want to get sued, but a lot of these news outlets, these newspapers, they take Washington Time. I think the Washington something Post was taking money from them. You know, we learned that we actually just send all this money everywhere, and then it gets in the hands of these billionaires, self-made billionaires, you know, kind of like the self-made guys like JD Vance, who is not self-made at all. He's had 4 names. He was a journalist in the Marines, so he wasn't like some gun-ho, like, let's kill everyone, like everyone wants him to believe. And he was propped up by Palantir and Peter Thiel, whose name, by the way, is an anagram directly for the reptile. Just throwing that out there. Peter Thiel, the reptile. It works. You can do it at home. But, you know, so a lot of
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
I also didn't know about his 4 names. Tell me about that.
Yeah, he's changed his name multiple times before landing on JD Vance. In fact, he didn't serve under the name JD Vance. His military name was something else. You can look it up. That's all.
Wow, Clinton did that too. Bill Clinton changed his name. Of course, we all change our names 4 or 5 times. You know, it's common.
It's natural. Right? It's natural. Yeah.
You change your name to avoid being identified with certain actions. That's exactly why you have other identities.
I worked in Hollywood and when you look at religion and, like, Christianity, and you realize the devil will change your Christian birth name. The devil reassigns you a new name, and that's why a lot of these actors in Hollywood don't have their real names. They're like, oh, it's privacy. It's you know, no, it's not. It's, you have to change who you were. God born you. I knew you before you were born, right? God knew you.
Before you were formed in the womb, I knew you.
Right, exactly. So I knew you. So he birthed you. You were given your God-given name, but Satan doesn't want you to carry that name because he's not going to call you what God calls you. He's going to call you something else. And then that's where you get, like, Christian Bale, right? Who is bailing on Christianity, or it's Baal.
Yeah, he thanks Satan. I've heard him thank Satan
every single time. Jack Black. What's the opposite of light? Darkness. Black. Everything is dark. Everything's demons. Everything's, you know, and that's just what these guys do. They change their name. But, you know, like I said, and I just want one more. Peter Thiel, the reptile. Elon Musk is actually Sun Molech. So you can rearrange S-U-N, which sun actually means son of, and Molech, we all know Molech. So he's the son of Molech.
I think he also dressed up as Molech for Halloween or something a while back.
Baphomet. Yeah, he dressed up as Baphomet.
Yeah, okay.
And anybody that does yoga, when you say namaste, just FYI, you're saying me, Satan. Namaste is a direct anagram for M-E, Satan. So, you know, they're there. It's all spelling, right? We're casting spells.
Yeah.
That's why when you curse at someone, you're cursing them. You're casting a curse. That's why it's, you know, a swear word is a curse word, because you're sending evil to them. you're cursing them.
No, brother,
So,
I see it. I am, I've been teaching a long time. I've been, and I see how toxic so many of my longtime students who are trying to follow God are now, and how difficult it is. It is just because the attacks and the poison and the infestations are just rampant around.
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, I implore everyone, just like you. I'm so glad. It makes sense that you read the Bible every day, because that's why we get along so well. I would just tell people, open it up, start on page 1, and read it. It took me a year and a half to read it the first time. A year and a half. I just read a couple pages or a chapter, whatever, a verse every day. Maybe sometimes just one word. But all of the answers are in there. And once you read through it and realize, because it is the oldest document that we know, the Dead Sea Scrolls, this is the oldest book that we have. It's the most sold book ever in the history of books, ever in the history of Earth. So then there's so much knowledge in there, and it's given to you as a guidebook. It is a lesson, and it has the answers in it for you. And I just implore everyone to read it, because now more than ever, we see that we are in that spiritual.
I do too. I would say, though, start with the synoptic gospels. Start with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, rather than the Torah, because that's where Yeshua is on display. I even start with Mark, which is the oldest, and it's the action gospel, because Yeshua is totally different than everybody else and everything else, and actually
very true.
Fulfills the Torah. So if you're not experienced at all, I advise people to start with the synoptic gospels and actually start with Mark and see, because it's just like where C.S. Lewis, who was a World War I veteran, was converted by Tolkien, who was a World War II veteran, I believe, and said, and the great giant intellects. And I just saw a great movie on this too. And of course, I've read them extensively, both of them, but they said either he is a fraud or an imposter, or he is what he says he is. It can only be one or the other. Just like if you are a materialist, then if you're going to say that our brains came about as a bunch of random things, then how can we trust our brains?
Right.
We can't. We cannot then trust our own reasoning. But if we are the result of a super intelligence, a creator, as I said at the beginning of the show, then that makes sense. Anybody can know a cake's ingredients, but only the maker can tell you why. And so those are and only Christianity and only Christ answers those questions. The dumb thing is what you hear people don't know what they're talking about all the time is, all religions are basically the same. I'm like, have you really looked at religions?
Not really.
Not at all. And also different ones came at different times with different stuff. For example, Judas and Massacre.
And the evolution of them, and the splits, the Lutherans versus the Baptists, and like how different people affected different religions, and then the different versions, the different writings, King James version of scripture versus, a Schofield version of scripture versus, 1700, I mean, I go and find the oldest Bibles I can now to read them. And I mean, I open them up and the day of the week starts on Sunday. Right. Yeah. And a lot of them have 13 months in the year. And if you took 13 months, if you did 365 days and divided it by 13, every month has exactly 28 days. It starts on a Sunday. It ends on a Friday, or ends on a Saturday. And it's a perfect 28-day cycle for 13 months. And the old that I read all have 13 months in them. Let me see what you got for me. That's cool.
So this is in our chaplaincy, we use an Aramaic to English New Testament.
Oh, neat.
So this is Victor Alexander. This is the best Aramaic to English, because Yeshua spoke Aramaic. And so the King James Bible, why do all these Americans, it's good enough for a king, it's good enough for me. You American or what? And then of course Darby and Schofield are, total heresy. That's the whole beginning of the Zionism. Right there.
Sure.
Yeah, but the NSAB is probably of the conventional ones. NSAB is probably the best. New American Standard Bible. Again, American, not King James. Oh my gosh, I just cannot believe all these people. Why does your guest think Trump's life was saved, or does he? I don't think you said that.
Oh, that maybe they're just at. Do I think Trump's life was saved?
Yeah.
I mean, in history, thank you for that question, whoever asked it. But in history, you can see that God chooses sometimes the most unlikely person to carry out his message. And, you know, Trump's, whether or not I agree with what's going on, which I don't, I think he hasn't done anything that he promised he was going to do, which he hasn't. And the numbers are pretty dismal and falling. But however, you know, I'm not God, so I can't speak to why, but there are two sides of that, right? There's one side that says this was a setup and it was fake, right? It was a fake assassination attempt and it wasn't real. Then there's the other side that says it was real and that it, well, see, yeah, two sides.
Come on. Come on. You're a Marine rifleman. So when I went to SOTs, so right there is my SOT cert, special operations. So that's where I was blue light. That is, you get so good that you sit in the room and they shoot around right here. They'd shoot the hostage target right here. And then I'd do it. We did that a lot. And that we were that good we even did buckshot, standoff shots. But to say, turn your head at this moment, no, that's not.
So the only thing I would say to that is that what if he didn't have to turn his head at all? I mean, what if they just turned it? I mean, there's nothing that says that we can't see the bullet. That would be my only thing, is that you can't see a bullet. And there's a picture supposedly where you can see the blur of the bullet. That's BS. No one's shooting at that high speed that they can see the actual bullet flying through. So if you had I've
often seen the trail of the bullet in the air. I'm sure you have too.
But not with a camera, not a picture. I've visually seen it, but I haven't taken pictures of it.
Are you talking about John Cullen?
I'm talking about that one famous photo that they're talking where Trump is like, he's just turned his head and they're like, oh, this is the bullet traveling past his head. And they kind of like blurred a little bit. There's a photo of it.
No.
But anyway, I'm just saying, like, I don't think that they shot at him and it's had a timing down, but they certainly could have used a blood pack, and something. And
really, you are the first combat veteran that I know. It's okay.
No, what I'm saying is that there are two sides of this. I don't know. I'm unsure, but I could definitely plan out. And I mean, it was clearly a setup from the inside. You don't get 100 yards away.
Well, the shooter. So I've had John Michael Cullum on, who does a lot of long range shooting, and it looks like there was a 300 blackout because it can be suppressed easily. Because 300 blackout 9mm are suppressed. You have subsonic rounds, and for people who haven't shot a lot of suppressors, and I've shot suppressors since the 80s in special forces, that's why you want a certain round, because if you use a lot of rounds, even though the weapons is suppressed, it breaks the sound barrier, kind of defeats the whole purpose.
Right.
Well, it's hard to locate. It's hard to see where the shot came from. That in a big open area, that helps. But it looks like there was on a tripod, a 300 blackout suppressed weapon right underneath Crooks. And it looks like the guy walked out. And there were multiple misses because he does a lot of audio work too.
I remember Mike Adams even did a thing of like the shot.
Yeah, well, Mike's a friend.
They were different areas.
But Mike was not that really. John Cullen stuff, you can look it up on Twitter, is much more sophisticated. But no, it's interesting. It's okay. I just don't. You're the first vet, because there's been several big SF and SEAL guys on YouTube who reenact and say, no, you can't. There's not that much precision with a AR or M14 platform or M16 platform.
I mean, I was a Marine, so we shot 500 yards open sight, and I was a.
Oh yeah, sure. I shot open sight, but
they were 150 yards. I mean, I could have hit them with a BB gun, like, you know what I mean? Like, you and I could have taken that shot very easily with pretty much any caliber of weapon that could have at least made the distance. So maybe not a 22 or something, but something.
But a kid who lays down on a hot roof after walking around,
who's not fired. I don't disagree with you. I think they
Yeah.
killed the kid. When in fact, when you see
Yeah.
the photo,
Yeah.
it looks like dried blood on his face. Like
Yeah.
from,
Yeah.
yes, the day before, not
Yeah.
dried, but like it's browning. The blood is turning brown. It's not red anymore because it's been oxidized. It's been oxidized. But just to answer the question, if it was real, absolutely. And there's that picture of the flag that looks like an angel, which initially I was like, wow, God did save Trump's life. Look at that. And then the other thing that I kind of laughed at, which, we just talked about how the Bible has been rewritten all these times, right?
Yep.
In lost translation. And then there is a thing in there where it says the Antichrist receives a mortal wound to the right side of his head. And I was like, well, if it's been rewritten, maybe it got lost in translation. Maybe he just received a potentially mortal wound instead of but that's just me playing around with
that's where you got to go into different translation. For example, it's not
exactly.
kill, it's not murder. If you look at the actual Hebrew, but it was actually originally written in Aramaic and then rewritten by Ezra when the temple was destroyed. All the Torah was destroyed. But anyway, Trump was a World War WWF wrestler. He wasn't a wrestler, but he was in there. He's fake, but that's true. The reason I asked is the talk of the Bible, everything Trump is not doing. So yeah, Trump. I agree that and Trump has said that he was chosen. But we're all chosen. It's whether we carry out what we are supposed to carry out. So, and I've said for a long time, Trump needs to self-reflect, become still, know that God is God, repent, confess. The first confession would be for Operation Warp Speed.
Well, and maybe just if I can, just to
sure.
to your viewer, your listener, God doesn't necessarily have to pick the good guy for you to see that God is good. Maybe, like the opposite of God, the great thing is the devil. And down here on earth, we have free will to be confronted by evil all the time. And we are confronted by evil all the time. But it's the choice that you make to choose good, right? So maybe if God did to save Trump, which, I'm not God, I don't know. But if he did decide to save Trump and Trump is not doing good now, I mean, that is Trump's free choice. It's his free will, number one. So it's his decision to cross through that threshold and then make the choice to continue on good or deny what he said and go evil, which it seems like he's denying at least what he promised. But maybe God made that decision. Maybe, God is everything, Alpha, Omega, and is non-linear. So maybe God knew that Trump would come in, have a huge following, all eyes, all attention is on this one man. And then if he can show you that he's going away from the Bible, that may be enough to reinforce people to go towards the Bible and go, hey, man, I really like this man, but I'm not following a man. I only liked the man because he was saying things in relation to my country and God. But now that the man is falling away, it's a real eye-opener for me to stick with God and stick with Scripture. I don't know.
That's really good. I like that a lot because people are really waking up and saying, hey, just like you and I have said, this isn't what we voted for. Right. We're not. I mean, I created Team America because I was talking about Israel. I said, generally speaking, as a Christian chaplain, I'm usually pro-Israel, but I'm not on Team Israel. I'm on Team America because I'm American. Right. Exactly. Very interesting. No, that's a great point of view because this is finally waking people up to what is going on. So, is God using Trump? Certainly. Is Trump cooperating or not? That's the question. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it reminded me of like the story of Jesus, right? When who was it, Paul? When Jesus said things are going to happen to me and I'm going to be killed and it's going to be, and Paul said, no, that'll never happen. We'll fight. And
Peter,
he rebuked Peter. He said, get behind me, Satan. Like, you think you know better than God? Like, the Son of Man has to go through this. And then you say, what if it didn't happen, right? Like, they had to do something bad in order for Jesus to live in all of us, moving forward. So it's like even Peter tried to deny, like, it's not going to happen. And it was like, no, this is God's plan. And God's plan is that something bad.
I think when Yeshua says, get behind me, Satan, to Peter, I think Peter is temporarily possessed.
Yeah.
And I think you can see the result of that with the Catholic Church. And I was raised Catholic, and I still think highly of Catholicism. You know, I
Yeah.
came out of a Catholic orphanage, went to Catholic schools and everything. And of course, Muhammad admitted he was possessed by the devil and that he was a pedo as well.
Right.
And of course, the Jews worshipped the devil and child sacrifice often.
Well, even still, that I think the Talmudic belief is that nothing is evil because God created Satan. So then, if God created the evil, then it was just like it's
but
okay.
they don't really take a side on good or evil or heaven,
right?
No heaven or hell. But they do. Any service you go to, you'll see the talk about the scapegoat for Azazel, and Azazel is a fallen angel. If you go to Hinduism, there's all kinds of fallen gods, and they're worshiping them all. If you go to Buddhism, Buddha actually said, "I'm not God.
I'm not the way. Yep, I am not the way.
I just know a way out of suffering, but I'm not God." But so Yeshua, who claims to be God, is unique than anything anybody else ever claimed, and either it is true or he is a liar and an imposter. Then, of course, if you look at the historicity and the Apocrypha and the eyewitnesses all around it, if you've never seen The Case for Christ, where the atheist reporter sets out to debunk Christ because he's an atheist. Actually, he's a father, he's a failed father son. His father was bad to him. So if you've never seen The Case for Christ or read the book, you should definitely watch that. It's fabulous because as he investigates it,
he converted, right?
He converted. Well, everything lined up right up to the descriptions of the execution on the cross. Everything, all of it was correct. And every year we find more and more of it. And as we do more scientific research, like with the I'm a big Shroud of Turin guy, we find more and more proof that yes, this is totally true. We're not finding less truth of it. We're, like I said at the beginning. Well, I don't think you were on there. Darwinism is out the window as we got better microscopes. Evolution is out the window. There's no transitional osteopentheses. But every year, science finds more to corroborate Christ.
Oh yeah, and not to mention how much has been hidden by the Catholic Church. We know they had giant skulls, so the Nephilim or a form of Nephilim existed. Yeah. You also know that Darwin plagiarized his book from his uncle, who wrote the book, and then at the end of his life, Darwin actually spoke out against his belief system and said that he was paid to do so.
Really, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot of.
Oh, Dr. Putnam says Lee Strobel. I don't know. Do you know who that is? I don't know who that is.
Lee.
You'll have to tell me, dear. But speaking of that, chemotherapy is supposed to kill cancer, but there's a new study that shows that chemotherapy awakens dormant cancer cells. And again, this is on my Patreon and this is on my locals. Chemotherapy reactivates dormant cancer cells using Dorm Tracer. The team showed that chemo-treated mice had a surge of previously dormant cancer cells re-entering the cell cycle. These awakened cells formed aggressive lung metastases. These efforts were specific to dormant cells. Chemo suppressed active tumors, but inadvertently activated the sleeping ones. And neutrophil extracellular traps are the trigger. Chemotherapy just didn't hit cancer cells. It also caused fibroblasts in the lungs to enter a state called senescence, which is biological aging. And SASP proteins drive this reaction. The senescent fibroblasts release a toxic cocktail known as SASP, senescence-associated secretory phenotype. And so all of these senescence prevents cells from getting better. So the mechanism was confirmed in humans. In breast cancer patients, lung metastases had a higher density and elevated C3-MIF. I don't know what those are. Blood samples showed C3-MIF spiked. And so the author of the paper, Hertzner, concludes this study flips the script on conventional cancer therapy. chemotherapy may control the primary tumor, but it can also fuel future metastases by waking up hidden cancer cells through inflammation and immune activation. And that's what I found in my competitive intelligence biotech work is everybody's into oncology now because everybody's got more cancer problems.
Yeah.
And so Western medicine has been totally weaponized completely.
My father was living with cancer for a while, and then they started treating him with chemo, and then COVID came and they hit him with remdesivir, and then they put him down. But I've done a lot of research recently. I mean, research, I'm not a researcher. I just mean I read a lot, and I listen to a lot of people that anyone that try to ban, I start to listen to because I want to hear what they have to say. But that Tucker Carlson just recently had that, believe he was Japanese, forgive me if I was mistaken, but he had that Japanese doctor on, that one gentleman who was talking about how cancer is like alive and how he would like low dose it. And he said it would he used the term, it would open up. Like they would put a small drop of, he's like a very tiny little chemo on it, and the cancer would open up, and then they could attack it because they could find it. It would like expose itself. And then I started looking at SB40, which is the cancer, that cancer molecule that they put in a lot of the different medicines that they've been giving people lately. And I'm kind of really teaming up with the people that think that cancer more likely is a parasite as opposed to a hidden virus. The way that it functions, the way that it works. And then if you listen to people like, who was it? Dr. Lee Merritt, I believe, who.
Yeah, I know Dr. Merritt. Yeah.
They got rid of the microscopes. Like we used to have microscopes that could see, 5,000-10,000 times. And now you can't really buy those anymore. And that when you get a tumor removed, they tell you like, oh, it's cancerous. Well, what is it though? Oh no, it's just cancerous. Well, what is it though? Like what? No one can tell you what it is because a lot of these doctors are starting to believe that it's parasites. And when you look at old cases of multiple sclerosis, that those old cases of multiple sclerosis were just parasites living in people's spinal cord. And then the tumors that you're seeing are either egg sacs, obviously microscopic, so you can't see them, but they just look like a clump, but it's egg sacs or it's waste product from the parasites that are consuming your body. Now, I'm not a doctor.
No, you're right. One of the subtitles of the show here is chemo causes cancer, ivermectin interdicts it. And, we do ivermectin several times a week. And D.R. Portman says they found that sugar is the fuel for cancer. Yeah, that's very true. That goes back to Dr. Young's high alkaline diet. Oh, and also Lee Strobel is who wrote The Case for Christ. If you want to, you'll love The Case for Christ. It's a great movie, great book. Lee Strobel, really good. But again, the corruption of Western medicine, where it's gone to transgenderism, which is mutilating the creature of the creator in the creation, which is obvious. I mean, to me, it's obvious. This is from nefarious. He formed you in his image. We deformed you into our own.
Kids, at the end of the day, I just want to tell every kid, like the end goal of transgenderism for boys is that they're going to cut your winky off, period. And at the girls, they're going to cut off your boobs, period. That's the end goal. When you fully convert and fall into this thing, they're going to cut it off. That's what they want to do. And I think if everybody knew that the end goal, all these kids knew that the end goal was to lop off Mr. Winky, I think we could probably stop some of this craziness.
Well, even have you actually seen photographs of the fake penises and of the fake
arms? They shred someone's arm and rip all the skin off, and then they make it out of it.
It is medieval. It is Frankensteinian. Yeah, and it's full of it is terrible. Yeah. Well, one thing though, we get back to being robbed. So I always want to talk about options, solutions, and answers. The answer there is state nationals, is to become a state national. So that's a process. That's not a sovereign citizen. It's not the same thing. So, sovereign citizen is a contradiction in terms anyway. A state national is where you realize that you were made a ward of the state in capital letters on your birth certificate, on your marriage license, because under the law, a corporation is a person under the law, and you were enrolled in all of these things without your knowledge. And there's a legal process where you can get out of that, say, hey, I was not of age and I was not aware, and I am leaving this process, and you have until this time to respond to this. And you send all this stuff in a series over a period of time, and then you just wait, and they do not come after you, because if they ever do take you to court, you can prove it, and then there's established precedent for everybody else. So there is an answer. It isn't just saying no. It's not that simple. And I've published this many times again on Patreon Locals, is state nationals. That's a way out of the corrupted system. And I think the system used to be a lot less corrupt than it. Of course, it keeps getting. Yeah. But again, in my view, the republic has fallen. The American empire is fading and beginning to fall, just like the Roman Republic.
We're Mystery Babylon. That's what I'm starting to think we are. Mystery Babylon.
Yeah. And Tonotic says it's parasites. Fenbendazole works on cancer as well. Yeah, there's I've had a lot of doctors on that. And all you got to do is look at the World War II generation. Look at them. They're skinny, they're healthy. And now look at everybody now.
Yeah. I mean, the old pictures from the beach, like, from the 40s and 50s and stuff. But, and then you also have to consider, like, just real quickly on this parasite thing, we treat every single animal and our food and our vegetables, everything in our world is treated for parasites, except us. You give it to your dogs, you give it to your cats, they spray insecticides and parasite things on your food. They inject it into your cows, your sheep, your chickens. Everything is treated for parasites. They treat your water with chlorine. They treat it with all kinds of everything. Everything is treated in the world for parasites, except us. Why? Unless you live in Africa or India, and then in which case every week you go and, well, you went and got your Thursdays or whatever it was?
Yeah.
The Thursday pay. Yeah. So the fact that we don't treat ourselves for that also kind of leads me to believe that, well, then that would make sense that we're getting a buildup of them because we're not treating people for them. So.
No, that's very true. And Heather B puts in the medical rebel. That's Dr. Lee Merritt. Yeah, I've had her on, and she's a friend as well about that. What's the process to get out of the state national, get into the state national? Look up statenationals.com. I think it is. I will publish it again on my Patreon Locals shortly. It's surprising too, because the globalists say we are parasites. Well, I don't think they say they're parasites. I think they call us chattel and cattle. And
useless eaters. I like the useless eaters. That's fine. You call me a useless eater. Okay.
And the real thing here is, are we going to choose between our daughters and other people's daughters? Because I'm a dad with daughters, or CIA, Mossad, deep state, double stuff to keep all that stuff going. That's the choice that Trump. That's the hill we got to die on, I think.
I can't believe a man like Trump, who touts his children and touts his grandfatherhoodness and talks about America has made all his money as some second generation rich kid from his dad who gave him a bunch of money, and he's made all this money here and he's done all these things. And then for the last year or so, he's made endless promises. He literally is like the passive aggressive girlfriend that says everything you want to hear and then completely changes as soon as you get married or something. I was just making that up.
My first wife.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So, okay.
Or the scorpion. The scorpion and the frog joke?
Yes. Why'd you do that? Because I'm a scorpion.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. That's something. Yeah. I don't know how many divorced guys have, guys who were trying to do the right thing. And you think you're on the right. You think you're on the right side, on the same seat of music.
I just wonder. I mean, is he just a total hypocrite? Have we all has he just been telling lies the whole time? Or is someone have a gun to like Barron's head or something and is like, listen, we're going to eliminate your family off the planet unless you do something.
I think they tried to kill him and failed. I think they tried to kill him several times and failed. They couldn't kill him because they're so corrupt and incompetent. Their corruption makes them incompetent now.
Yeah.
But I think what they're really, the intelligence services mastery is psyops, and he has bought into this Zionism thing completely. And just like half of Congress is dual citizenship, you shouldn't be able to have a dual citizenship and be in.
It's all but like
Congress
two that have taken APAC money. All but two. I think
really?
Marjorie Taylor and Thomas Massey are the only two on record that have not received any funds from APAC to date.
Wow. And so that's it. There's only two.
That's it.
Wow.
Two. Yeah, and when they voted, I don't know if you saw the vote where they were voting to Marjorie Taylor put up a bill to defund like 500 million, which is pennies, but to the military for Israel, the vote was like 422 to 6. So it was like literally, and every other bill is like 50-50. I saw with some commentator, with some podcaster, I can't remember who, but so this is not an original thought, but they were like, yeah, every other bill is like 50-50. Like, it's split down the house, split down the aisle because, but not this one. This was 422 to 6. So, I mean, it just goes to show you who's running the show.
Yeah. Well, this has been great, but before we go, I got to let you talk a little bit about the Sat Phone store and Galileo and where you guys are at with that. Because again, that's another option solution and answer for hard times. I mean, I don't know about you, but the only way I could ever make reliable comms was always with Satcom. And the next best thing to Satcom is Sat Phones.
Yeah, satellite phone store. Well, we're doing the same thing we always do, which is putting redundancy and backup power, communication, bug out bags, whatever, putting the power into your hands, quite literally and metaphorically. We have solar generators. We have, like I said, bug out bags. We have all kinds of satellite devices. Some of them are free. We'll give them to you for free. All you have to do is pay the monthly. They're low monthly, less than a cell phone, depending on your plan. But we have some that are as affordable as like, $15 a month, all satellite rollover credits. And what's important about the satellite, I mean, military, I know military, satellite's there. If I can see the stars or the sky, I can communicate with somebody that I need to. So I can get a hold of someone that I need to. And information is key. Information wars is a thing. Everybody talks about information. You can see censorship is a huge problem. It has been a problem in the past, and it's still continuing to be a problem even today with certain platforms and certain bills and things that are passing. And the satellite network is so much harder to tap into or to listen, eavesdrop, especially a nefarious character.
It's not impossible. People have been asking.
You do need someone on the inside. You need someone on the inside that is tracking you, right? I mean, you can speak to it, Jeffrey. Go ahead.
Brent 84. Oh my God, I love this guest. I'm doing business with him. Solar generators. Yeah, no comms are secure, but you can have anonymity and you can have redundancy, and that's what you're getting with if you're using Galileo for sat text. And talk a little bit about Galileo as well, please.
Yeah. So and that's what I do. I run Galileo. I'm the CEO of Galileo. We connect your smartphone to all of these satellite devices. And now, since everything that's been going on, we built a new social media platform, and we have an emergency alert system that is gathering all the emergency alerts from around the world, and we'll be able to geolocate them to your location. Now, that's not on my website right now, but that will be released in the next week or so. We're actively working on that. But
you'll have to come back and talk about that for sure.
I will, absolutely, because I know you and Team America have run comm checks around the world during the last big outage that we talked.
Yes, we
were
do.
Telling me the different ones that were out and what was
working.
That's a
great point. That's a great point. Team America is doing behind the scenes, and one of the things a lot of states do is they run comms across the state, because in the movies, the guy talks in his earpiece to anybody in the world. In real life, you gotta jump from place to place. I
got a 12-foot antenna, like waving around.
Oh yeah,
like talking to someone with 12.
Yeah, trying to get something to actually work. But there are different Team America states that have made it across their states, and then intrastate for when things go out. And Satcom and Sat phones are part of that. Just part of that. That's just one thing. Yeah.
And I just want to, I know there's a big push with, there's a lot of cell companies that are moving into this satellite connectivity world. And I'm not going to speak poorly about the technology because I love advancement in technology and we're working on our own stuff too at the same time. But I just would want to put in everyone's mind that some of the technologies still do use cell towers. And if you are in a real emergency, that cell tower is the thing that's
Yep.
going to go down. So if you're relying on a singular device, well, not singular as in wireless, as in like a solo device or a individual device, and that device goes down, you're out of luck, right? So I just want to really, we like to, not just me, we like to really instill in people that idea of redundancy. You know, you have a spare tire, you take extra water, you have more money, you got extra socks. When it comes to communication,
A backup
most
gun,
of us,
a backup knife.
I got my backup guns, my backup knives, I got it all, the ankle gun. Yeah. But like, you know, what do they call that? The drop Bobby gun. But
Throwdown.
the throwdown. Yeah,
That's where I was at fire. Okay, shotgun crawl, rifle crawl, pistol crawl, backup gun crawl, throwdown crawl. No,
throwdown.
No.
Sorry, I put my gloves on. But yeah, so like, you know, we have only one device when it comes to communication, most of us. And the same with power. You know, we have that one electrical line that comes into our house, that one water pipe that comes into our house. If you rely on one of those things and one of those goes out, you don't have a backup. So we offer all of the backups basically. And that's what we do at Satellite Phone Store and at Galileo.com. And you can check us out at sat123.com or at satnews123.com.
How's Connecta doing? How's phone123.com doing?
Yeah, Connecta's doing good. You know, I mean, they have a de-Googled private phone that has all kinds of sorry, my buddy stopped it. That it almost works as like a Faraday, where if you have the phone on a work mode, nobody can scan your information. I know that if you notice, people are going around scanning different information off people's phones, taking their bank account info, taking photos, maps, calendars, so they know where you are and what you're doing. But yeah, the Connecta phone is a very secure phone. It has a end-to-end texting, encrypted VPN texting. So if you and I have the phone and we text, nobody can read it, including Connecta. And they also have a privacy call feature where you can do the same thing. It creates a VPN wormhole, and the phone call is completely private between you and I, and that's just done on a cell phone. And the plans for those are as low as $35 a month for, I think, unlimited across the board. I think there's a data limit, but I'm not quite sure on that. But it's all on the website too. So basically, yeah, we just want to offer any kind of backup, any kind of security, or any kind of privacy that we can put in the hands of Americans or global citizens, basically just any citizen who's concerned about their safety, their security, their information, and their ability to protect and help out the ones they love in a time of emergency. And that's all I got to say about that.
That's all. Yeah, they just asked for a link, so I just put sat123.com, phone123.com, galileo.com. There,
great.
As well.
Thank you. Yeah, come check us out. Shoot us an email. Give us a call. There's a chat feature at Sat123. If you're interested in some of the gear, you can just chat with them too if you don't like to make phone calls. But you know, we got great customer service, and we got a lot.
So I've known all of them a long time. Tina, Brett, they're all great people, and they'll if you got a problem, they'll fix it, and they're real awesome. Yeah, Brent 84 is definitely going to call you. I can tell you, he's all over
this.
Give
me a call. Give me a ring.
You guys are welcome. And Heather B is talking about we are conduits for the fuel project, conduits for the Holy Spirit. Yeah, that's what I talk about, the Christ connection. That's what we're talking about. The opening of the crown chakra or energy center is the Christ connection for the conduit for the Ruach Kadesh, the great Holy Spirit.
And our third eye, our pineal gland, decalcify. Everybody decalcify.
Yeah, definitely.
Decalcify. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, brother, thanks for coming back on. It's been great. And when that next step, when you get that out, we'll have you back and we'll talk about that. All right.
I appreciate it, Jeffrey. Thanks for everything you're doing, brother. I really respect you and honor and appreciate you. So God bless you, and we'll talk soon, my friend. Thank you.
God bless. Right back at you, brother. Right. Okay. Really cool show with Brett. Always enthusiastic. Remember, the fix is in. The vote's rigged. The polls skewed. The politicians lie. The pundits are paid off. Censors reign. The FBI doesn't stop terrorism. it manages terrorism. CIA doesn't collect intelligence, it fakes it. News bobbleheads babble bull. Hunter's laptop of child rape, like Hillary's, lapsed. Ashley's dad shower diaries disappeared. Ukraine replaced Afghanistan and Gaza, Ukraine. Cuckold Congress funds FISA in a new FBI headquarters bigger than the Pentagon. But how to steal another election when your pedo prez is a joke and your puppet party a drag fest? Cascade crisis, just like now, and false flags for the dumbed down, drugged, and fattened up to freak over, just like now. Bio-murder voters by the millions. Impoverished via inflation. Robbed by taxes, just talking about that. Repopulate electorate with illegals. House them, fund them, and pay them, then command their vote. But bread is not manna, and circuses aren't commitment. Slaves submit, warriors serve, and in the bloody, muddy end, the most committed wins. Freedom is never given. It is earned, fought for, won, and taken. Take it.